So before I officially get started with the tag and talking, that's going to be a voiceover while I work on this page and hopefully complete it. But what I wanted to do real quick at the beginning before we got into the tag, I had a couple people ask me what I use in my George Toufexis books, and how, I guess, I would use them, I assume. So I use the Taotree markers, but I would say any slimline markers are going to work. So this is the 101 set of the Taotree art markers. They are the slimline ones. I know some of the other companies make them as well, but the Taotree ones I have used multiple times, pretty much exclusively in my George Toufexis books since I got them. So maybe like May or June, maybe. I don't know. But these work really well if you don't like using pencil and would prefer to use marker but have trouble with marker bleed. And what I'm going to do is in slow-mo show you how I use these real quick, and then just for a little bit of the picture so you can kind of see, and then we will officially get into the tag and speed things up. So we're going to color out of Autumn Inspirations. Big shocker. This is one of my favorites. Probably was my favorite till Spectacular Spring Scenes came along for me. So we're going to do this page because hello, Halloween and cat. So Cattober Coloring 2021 also works for this one. So what I do usually, the legend for the George Toufexis books is at the very beginning. And what I usually do is I will go ahead and create my own special swatch with whatever I'm using. Of course, in this case being the Taotree markers. Now this is for Spectacular Spring Scenes, but I was looking and I think it almost lines up to, well, maybe it exactly lines up to the Autumn Inspirations color chart. So I am going to make a few modifications, but for the most part, this is what I use. I think the difference for me is going to be the blue. The light blue is going to be 66. Let me grab a pen here. We're going to try 66 here, which is a lighter blue. And then we're going to do the 76 as just the regular blue, which would be here. So we're going to do that one swap. As I go along, sometimes I decide some colors work better than others. Alright, so I use both sides of the marker. Let me zoom in. I will do it manually with the camera so I don't have focus issues. Yep, looks good. Alright, so it might be hard to read the numbers, but so I can easily use both sides of the marker. With these bigger spaces, I do tend to use the chisel tip, or the broad tip as it's referred to here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do this little section here. Now, I do have to be a little careful because they are alcohol markers and they might bleed a little. Now, I can't say these are completely bleed free, especially when you get brand new markers. And I do apologize if you hear mowers in the background. I wanted to get this filmed real quick. Hopefully they're not too loud. So I'm using the broad tip here to get in this little bit bigger space. Just work quickly so that you don't have any lines pop up, just like you would with any other type of marker in a book. The Creative Haven paper is a little more forgiving in terms of it doesn't dry as quickly as Amazon printed paper, but it still dries fairly quickly. So what I would say is, as you're starting, yeah, you might have a little bit. I'm messy when I color. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am messy when I color, and we're gonna go. That was 15, and then I'm gonna use 2 in the Taotrees for this little strip right here, which is like a brick red. Now this one I could use a chisel tip, but just in case this is I've noticed the black in this marker, in this set of markers, is pretty juicy, so definitely be a little more cautious with those. As you can see, I'm just plugging along. Now, like I said, as you go along, you're gonna, I'm messy when I color. I'm gonna have little marks and smudges where I go outside the lines. I've learned to try not to sweat it too much, because when it's done, it's not really noticeable. You got to look at the big picture when you get done with it. So there is like a bigger section, and then for the smaller section, hang on, let me zoom in just a little bit more, make sure it's not awfully blurry. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this little section here of greenery and ornaments, it looks like. So 10, I'm going to use 50. That's just like a regular green. So I'm just going to use the fine tip. And with these small spaces, I just kind of dab it in like this. I just work really as carefully as I can. Basically like if you were using a paintbrush and you were trying to paint in a small space. This is a lot easier. I've done that. I don't want to do that again. It's one of the reasons I don't paint, like actually do my own art, is I don't think I have the patience for it. So yeah, you just lightly dab it in. This isn't too juicy because I've used it multiple times, but if it's juicy, just sometimes you can just make little dots like this and it'll fill in the rest for you if it's really juicy. So you don't have to go all the way to the lines, but with this one, like I said, I've used it a couple times, so it's not quite as juicy. I feel like I've used these in a number of pictures so far. I do have a backup set, but so far they all seem to be performing very well. So, alright. So we'll do that part there, and then we'll come in with a lighter green, which is 46. And the cool thing about the lighter color is you can be a little sloppier with it. And if it mingles in with the dark color, it normally doesn't cause any problems with alcohol markers. So like you see, I can be a little more laid back with this one. Now, like I said, the colors are entirely up to you. I don't mind sharing what I pick. Sometimes it's easier to see what others are using and then how it translates to their page. And like I said, as I go along, sometimes I will change colors a little bit, or if a marker ran dry, I would probably want to use a different one. Alright, so the shadow around that is the 15, which we've already used. Is it 15? Really? Are my eyes deceiving me? That's the brick red. Come on, Michelle. Yeah, sometimes, you know, and sometimes you might get the wrong number. And it might not match to the other picture. But, you know, again, don't sweat it. Because when you get done, I promise, it's not going to be noticeable. Not really. You know, if somebody notices that they have too much free time. In my opinion. So this one is probably a little juicier than the other one, so I am just carefully kind of dotting that in. One, we're going to use this 66 light blue. I'm going to do this ornament, and then I think this will, just a mini demo. I don't want to do anything overly complicated. I can't color this in real time and do a video because it would be like a long color and chat. Usually a couple sessions of 2 hours. Wow, there's not much difference between those, is there? Usually a couple hours per day over the course of 2 or 3 days. I can knock these out. Now, if you come across one of those shading ones, or you don't like that this isn't a you know, enough of a difference to you, then what I do is I'll usually wait for the layer to dry, and then, or if you have, let's say this was a 1 and it said 0 for shading, what I'd do is I'd color all of this with the 1, the 66 marker. I'd wait for it to dry, then I'd do the 0 layer a couple more times. That'll get you a slightly darker version of that color, which is perfect for shading if you don't have a marker that already matches. So yeah, if my colors are too similar, I'll just layer one a little bit to make it a little more distinct. So that is pretty much it. Like I said, just wanted to do a mini demo. Nothing fancy. And yeah, so I don't know. I might just post this as its own video because I had a couple people ask, we'll just post this over the weekend. And then Tuesday, y'all will see me just do the tag. Let's just do it that way. So scratch what I said at the beginning and I'll just put in the comments because I'm not redoing the beginning of this. So I'm lazy today. Actually, here, if we're going to do that, let's just go ahead and continue to work on this just little piece here. Make sure I got the right one. Yep. I've seen a lot of people use pencils. I think my friend Ren uses pencils quite a bit on these books, and they always turn out really pretty, and I do like that. I don't know, I don't have the patience for it. These markers give me the perfect mix of being able to do a picture quickly, but I do have to slow down with them so I don't run the risk of bleed, but they're a lot quicker still for me than pencils would be. Especially in these teeny tiny sections where I would have to keep a very sharp tip on the pencil to be able to successfully fill it in. So, oh my gosh. Alright, so there's that. I don't think there's any other 10s. Yeah, I don't think there's any other 10s. So, we will come in with a 9 since I already got it in my hand. Make sure that actually is 9. Okay. And then 19 is the really dark green, which is a 51 for me in this marker set. And like I said, all these little, like, especially greenery where there's a lot of little leaves and just little bits and bobs that bleed into other sections, I just don't sweat it too much. If I hit the majority of them and it gets a little blurry on the edges, that's fine. I would say if you're having trouble with this, just keep at it. Try to complete maybe a portion of the picture. Hang on just a minute. There we go. Had to clear my throat. Didn't want to cough into the thing. I would say keep at it. Maybe complete a portion of the picture, like all together, colored in before you really judge it, and just see how it all looks together. That would be one of my suggestions. Okay, we'll go back over that in just a minute. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. I have plenty to share about my trip and what happened when I got back. I just haven't really felt up to doing a full color and chat yet. Now, if you do go over a section like this where it actually bled in with the blue and it's supposed to be white, that's where the magic of a Posca pen or acrylic paint pen comes into play, or a white gel pen. And I probably still will come in here with a white just to give it that extra pop. Now, see, this little section here doesn't have a number, but we're just going to call it green. So if you come across a section that doesn't have a number, I just make a guess. Sometimes I have to look at the completed picture on the front to try to get an idea of what it's supposed to be, especially if I'm not sure whether or not it's supposed to be left as white. But if not, then I just kind of go with what's around it. I'm not too worried about that leaving a line. Usually your darker colors won't. Well, since we're already here, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. We're going to also switch to the chisel. I think I feel comfortable enough just using the very tip of the chisel on this. There. See, again, little messy. Not super precise, but again, when it's all said and done, it doesn't really affect it. Alright, 37 was the yellow I was using. And this is, yeah, number 2. So, we're going to come in with the yellow. And be a little careful around that red. Yeah, if you use red or black and then you have to use a light color like yellow or something, be a little more cautious around the red because it might smear a little, and then that can be a little frustrating. Alright, we're going to do another layer of the blue here. And like I said, you're not using a whole lot of the marker to darken that, so I've done a number of pictures with these, and so far they still seem to be working really well, and I'm not having any issues. Alright, so there's that little section. And if we bounce out without me pulling my camera off the stand, that's what we've got so far. So see, that's what I was saying. It can look a little messy when you're working on it. Just stick with it. When you look at it overall, it's going to give such an awesome effect that, like down here is a bunch of that greenery that's got just the little raggedy edges. I just do the best I can with that. You're going to get kind of a painted effect when you do this, and I think it looks really cool when it's done. So yeah, in this case, where's it at? Sorry, hit the mic. Handy dandy Posca pen. Oop. That is blooping paint all over the place. Probably does not bode well. So I just add in little dots. If I smudge too much on the edge of the page, sometimes I'll use a Posca to clean up a little bit too. Posca is really good for cleaning oopsies. So yeah, there you go. Just a quick demo. I don't know, some people might have been interested in this. I know some people were asking me what I use, so I just kind of wanted to show how I use them in real time, just so you guys can get an idea of it. So you will see me complete this on Tuesday, and I will be doing a voiceover with the fall coloring tag. So see you guys then. Bye for now.